this whole welfare queen concept, which I guess if Anheuser-Busch stock drops anymore, they might, be the next welfare queen, but who knows? So, what do you think about that?
I remember hearing that term welfare queen a long time ago, and it never had anything to do with race. I grew up in Vermont, which at the time of my youth was predominantly white. It still is, but back then it was like 99.9% white. And so oh my God, it's just more and more separation of people. Oh, more reason to think that somebody's a racist, and we got to divide each other, and we got to, Reagan, you better apologize, right? We got to tear down all of the heroes of the right because Reagan was really just a terrible person. And it the whole point. You know what, Robert? Really, what I think it is, we need to bring shame back. I think
that's interesting.
I think that this idea that we are getting rid of shame in our culture, or that there's something wrong with shaming people for bad behavior, I think is a real problem.
Wait a minute. That's a slippery slope. Look, and I wanted to let you finish, but that's a slippery slope. Shaming people is like canceling people. Right, the whole cancel culture, that's a really slippery slope to go down. I don't mind, vociferous debate. Right, I don't mind having really rigorous, out in the open debate in the public square. Bring it on. Part of my argument is the other side, the other camp, as we call them, cannot hold an argument at all, which is why they try to silence everything through political correctness. But
that's not the same. Like, what cancel culture and shame are not the same thing. What there has been an attempt at in our culture is to say that all behavior and all ways of being are equally the same and have equally the same value. And they do not. And so this idea that we shouldn't take pride in the things that we do, that we shouldn't have pride in our country, that we shouldn't have pride in our work and things like that. And we should get rid of all shame. And that means all behavior and all everything is equally as okay. I think does extreme harm to our society. And I'm not saying we should run around like wagging our finger and being mean to people and rah, 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 rah. But I think that it is okay, and I think that it is necessary to call out behavior that is harmful to society, that is harmful to culture, and harmful to the people engaging in the behavior. That is, I think, why we see such a rise in some of this dependency on the government. There's now no shame in being dependent on the government. There's no shame in saying, you know what, I'm just not going to work. Young people nowadays, they're like, screw this. I'm just not going to work. I'm going to stay on unemployment and live off of whatever I can live off of during the pandemic, blah, 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 blah. So I hear what you're saying about, cancel culture being a problem. Bringing shame back and shame and cancel culture, not the same thing.
I don't think that shame is something that you can foist or force upon someone. I think shame is something you either feel or you don't. I think the real issue, I think there's two issues. I think you hit one of the two issues. The first issue is one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. There is no right and wrong. That's sort of like Life Springs and Est from the 80s, which is, well, that works for you, man, but that's not my truth, right? And that's sort of permeated from the West Coast or the left coast back east, right? But the other part of it is they don't teach civics. How can you have pride in your country? How can you have pride in yourself if you're not taught that? If you're not taught about the honor and the history of your country, if you're not taught about those things, which again, when I went to school in Canada, right, it helped because I got to see my country from a third world, from another country's perspective. I guess Canada probably is a third world, especially with Trudeau there, but that's a whole different conversation, right?